All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down the psychology behind that sudden, overwhelming urge to just completely cut someone out of your life. It's a really intense feeling, right? Well, it turns out there's some real science behind why it happens. So, have you ever had this happen? One day, you care so much about someone, a friend, a partner, and then the next, it's like a light switch just flicks off. There's no big fight, no simmering anger, just nothing, a complete void. You're just done. It can be super confusing for you and for them. And because it's so abrupt, people tend to slap some pretty harsh labels on it. They might say you're being cold or that you're ruthless. They call it the door slam. It's almost always framed as some kind of character flaw. But this is where it gets really interesting. While everyone else is calling it a door slam, psychology has a much more accurate name for it: attachment depletion. And that one little change in phrasing is huge. It shifts the whole conversation from what's wrong with you to what's going on inside you. So, if you remember one thing, let it be this: you aren't being mean. Attachment depletion is literally a biological protection mechanism. It's your nervous system hitting the emergency brake, realizing a connection is just not healthy anymore, and shutting down the bonding chemicals to save you from more damage. So let's get into the 5 big reasons this actually happens.
First up, we have the social threat. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's when a person's presence starts to register as an actual danger to your system.
You know the person I'm talking about, right? The friend who's a walking storm of drama, or who is just so unpredictable you're constantly on edge? Well, you can only tolerate that for so long. Eventually, your brain stops coding them as a friend, a source of support, and recategorizes them as a stressor. Your system just gets exhausted trying to guess what's coming next. And that's the bottom line. This whole cutoff thing is what we call energy conservation behavior. Your brain does a kind of cost-benefit analysis and decides, nope, the energy it takes to maintain this relationship is way too high. It's not about being mean. It's a logical, subconscious choice for stability over chaos.
All right, reason number 2. Now, this one isn't about them being a threat. This one is all about you and your own growth. It's about personal evolution.
Psychologists call this value drift. It happens when you start growing. Maybe you're focused on your career or healing or just finding some peace, but your friend is still stuck on the same page you were on 5 years ago. Your brain picks up on this mismatch and suddenly the conversations feel empty. You're just not on the same wavelength anymore.
And this leads to something called identity stagnation. You know that feeling? When you hang out with them, you feel this weird pull to act like the old you, a version of yourself you've worked so hard to move past. That sudden feeling of being done is your brain literally protecting the new person you're fighting to become.
And that's the perfect way to put it. To them, it might feel like a huge betrayal, but for you, it's just evolution. You're just shedding a skin that doesn't fit anymore. Okay, reason number 3. This is for anyone who's ever been the quote-unquote strong friend, the group's unofficial therapist. Yeah, this one is going to hit home. It's called caregiver fatigue. Basically, it's an overload of emotional labor. You're always the one listening, advising, fixing. But here's the thing. Human connection has to be a two-way street. When you just give and give and give and get nothing back, your empathy tank for that one specific person just runs completely dry. So that door slam? It's your mind's way of finally putting up a boundary that you were probably too afraid or too nice to set with your words. You get tired of having to justify yourself. They didn't really lose you. They just lost access to the part of you they were using. Now for our last 2 reasons. And these are really interesting because they're linked, and they're actually signs of very high emotional intelligence. This is when the cutoff becomes less of a reaction and more of a strategic choice. It starts with pattern recognition. Some people, especially if they have a high EQ or have been through some stuff, get really, really good at reading people. You can just sense the hidden motives. You see the toxic patterns starting to form before anyone else does. So here's how it plays out. Your brain recognizes a pattern it's seen before. You know exactly where this road leads. And instead of waiting for the crash, you just get off the road. You engage a detachment response. You skip the drama and go straight to the exit because you've learned that your peace is way more valuable. And you can only do that when you've reached a state of internal validation. This is huge. It means your self-worth comes from inside you, not from what other people think. You realize that being alone is 1,000 times better than being in a connection that just drains you. Your standards are just higher now. So you see,
You're not isolating yourself. You're curating your inner circle. You're actively choosing what psychology calls cognitive quiet, that beautiful inner peace, over the chaos and static of meaningless social noise.
So, let's bring this all home. What's the big picture, empowering takeaway from all of this? Let's put it all together. First off, remember this. You are not pushing people away. You're pulling your energy inward. You're not building walls around yourself, you're building a sanctuary. You're protecting your inner world. And this is so important to hear. If you feel this way, it absolutely does not mean you are broken or that you're incapable of connection. It means your brain's self-protection system is working perfectly. It's pushing you towards peace. And ultimately, that's what it all comes down to. That ability to slam the door isn't a sign of coldness. It's a sign of strength. It's a sign that you finally value yourself enough to walk away from what's hurting you. It means you are strong enough to let go,